Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Been a while, got some car stuff going on finally, and decided I'd take you along. I'm just working on a gas tank from an early 30s DeSoto coupe, and the bottom of it was all pushed in and rusted out, and when I opened up the tank it was a hell of a mess in there. So I'll just take you out and show you what's going on here. The sun's pretty bright, but it's just a gorgeous day outside. Probably going to be a little tough to see here for a bit, but whoa, kick the tripod doesn't help. So anyhow, here's the tank. I've been working on cleaning it up inside. I'm using a combustion chamber carb cleaner, and it seems to be taking off all the old scale and everything else. So this is the two pieces that I've cut out. They're pretty bad. This is the bottom of the tank. This one's not terrible. The other piece is really bad. As you can see, it's all pushed in, great big dents and everything in it. So I've got to make a new bottom for it. So what I've been doing here is I cut the two sections out. I did it in two pieces instead of one. I had to cut out the spot welds in the baffle there, and I've been pressure washing and using the carb cleaner. So I'll just I'm going to pressure wash this some more, see if I can get it rinsed out. Hopefully I don't get too much all over the lens here, and we'll bring you back. So thing's a hell of a mess. So anyhow, you guys get the gist. I'm going to clean this up and then I'll bring it. Okay guys, so after about 2 hours of scrubbing and cleaning with carbon combustion chamber, I got the tank cleaned out really well. I've got all of the edges hammered back into shape, cleaned up the baffle inside, got it ready for spot welds. The fill spout was in, but it was soldered, and most of the solder was broke on it. So what I did was I cleaned it all up, wire brushed it and sanded it, and then I welded it in with the TIG welder. What I did was I cleaned off two good spots and had the solder hold on the sides, hold it in the right position, and then I made two good welds. Then I took the rest of the solder off and finished welding it. So what I'm working on now is I just cut out a piece of cardboard CAD here, or should I say beer case CAD. Gives me a rough measurement for my bottom panel that I'm going to put in. Once I get it cut to fit here, I've got a bead roll, a couple of X's in it, or one X, and then it's got a little bit of a dimple on this side. as well as this little flat area here that rides on top of the baffle. So I'm going to carry on with this, get my patch cut. Once I get that done, I'm going to show you how I'm going to roll the edges here to match so I get a perfect match on the bottom. And then we're going to flange it so that it overlaps and I can weld it, and then we'll start tack welding this thing back together. Okay guys, what we've got getting set up here for bead rolling the beads in the bottom of this tank to stop it from oil canning. I've got them all laid out here. I got the first one done. It's kind of a horseshoe shape, and then I'm going to do this X in the center here. I got my start and stop points done here. I'm going to snug this up. Lots of fun doing it by yourself, but guy gets used to it. So I just made contact and I'm going to go a turn and a half. I'm going to start it. And then I'm going to go back to the starting point. Then I'm going to run this through in one sweep. As you can see, one of the modifications on these cheap bead rollers is to put an old steering wheel on, because that crank makes it impossible for one person to run this machine. Okay, now the critical part, going around the corner. I find that lighting is really important. Okay, we're around the corner. The corners are pretty easy to keep nice and symmetrical. It's trying to keep your straight line straight that's really tough. Okay, so I just made it to the end. Gonna release it. And we'll start on the next one. The other thing, you got to make sure that you've got clearance in the throat for running the sheet through. Okay, contact 1.5. Back to the start. I've got a tool that I made, and I'll show you once I'm done, that finishes off the start and stop of your beads really nice, instead of just leaving a rough kind of wrinkle around the corner. And then straight down the line. I think I'm going to run India here. Move you back just a touch. Take her to the end. Okay. That's that. I'll bring you back here, show you how we finish off the edges, and then we have to put the little flat in. Okay guys, so I'm back. This is the dimpled side of my bead, and where you start, it kind of leaves a stress mark in the end of the sheet. So what I've done is I've taken a piece of black pipe, I believe it's 1/2 inch. I cut it at a 45-degree angle, leaving me a half moon piece. I put this down with a piece of steel underneath it, and I give it a sharp crack with the hammer, and it gives me a nice finish line around the bottom end. I'll just do this and then I can bring you back here. Okay. Make sure I've got my backer block. I've got a steel 1-inch thick piece of steel underneath. Do this one first. Okay, that one ended up really good. Oh, I guess I had you sitting in the wrong spot there, so. Okay. Give this one a try. You usually only get one crack at it, and you want to do it exactly where you want it because it puts an impression in the steel. Okay. As you can see, you get this thing working right. Now I've got no more stress in the end of the sheet here on both of them. They both ended up good. So I'll do the other 4 and then we'll get into putting this little raised section in. Okay guys, I've got my step dies set up in here. It's just the 1/16 step dies. And because I have to make a U in the panel, what I've done is I've run down this side to step this down. Now I'm going to turn it around and run it down the other side and step this one down. This one's going to be a little tricky. I got to keep it right on the edge of the previous one. It's going to end up a little bit wider than the factory one, but that's okay. I don't think there's anywhere that you can buy a brand new gas tank for a 30s DeSoto. So it's going to be what it's going to be. Just running into you a little bit. Okay. Release the pressure. So here's what I've ended up with. I've got a little step in this, and that's where the baffle in the tank is going to get spot welded to. Okay, there's the finished piece. It's got the beads in it. The little channel lines up with the old one. Next I have to bend this radius into the sheets, into the sheet on both ends, so that it follows the contour of the tank. Okay guys, so back to curving the ends of this new bottom for the excuse me, fuel tank. Using what you've got, I've got a piece of 1.5 inch exhaust tubing here. Just a scrap I had laying around. I have a couple of short pieces, 12-inch pieces of angle iron welded to the end of it, and I have it clamped to my vise. Now the sheet here has to be bent up or curved around on both ends. So this is the start, this line that I've put. I took it off the outside of the tank, transferred marks. So this is where I start the radius. So what I'm going to do is just slide this underneath. And I'm going to slowly work it up. It's not going to need a whole lot, so you're better off to go a little bit at a time. Just pull it out. So as you can see, it goes in pretty quick, pretty easy, gives you a nice straight radius here. So I'm just going to carry on doing this until I get it to fit the contour of that tank really well. Not sure how much it's going to need. I'll bring you back when I start fitting it to the tank here. Okay guys, so once I got everything bent on my on the bench there, I put my a body dolly that's got the right radius into my vise, and then I use my slapper made out of a piece of leaf spring. This gives you way more control with less dents in the piece of steel. And then I final shaped to get a really nice curve on the ends of the pieces. I've got them pretty much straight. You really got to watch because they like to dish in the center. They bend a lot easier because it holds the shape better. So I got both ends done, and then what I've done is I drilled a couple of holes through the baffle and through the steel so that I can position this and then I can fine tune it. So I'll just set it in there and then I'll bring you back. Okay, so I've got 2 holes through the baffle plate here. I'll set the piece on. I'm just using 3/16 inch Clecos. That was tough to spit out. Get it where it goes. First one in. The second hole here. There we go. Okay, so now what I've got to do is when I cut the tank open, there was stress in the steel and these opened up a bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in with the dolly and I'm going to get the tank itself back into the right radius so that this will all fit down nice. I can see right here that I'm a little flat, so I'm going to have to put a little more radius in this piece. Other than that, it feels really good. A little bit more here. Do the same on the back end. Then I can get all my holes drilled. I'll get everything cleaned up and I can start tack welding this piece in. Okay, we're all set up here now. I've drilled some holes for doing spot welds. I've got all the holes drilled across where the baffle is. It's going to take a little bit of fitting, tapping. I got to clamp the edges down here, but now I'm ready to start welding the new bottom into the tank. I've got a hole drilled and ready to solder in the drain once I get the bottom welded in there. So once I get moving on this, I'll bring you guys back, show you some welding. Okay, so I've got the patches all tack welded in. Had a real bitch of a time with the center because it's a big panel. It tried to warp up on me, so it left quite a gap on a couple of these, and I had quite a time getting them to pull down. I'm going to have to go over them again once I clean it all up, because I think I have a couple of pinholes that are going to leak. I'm also running into a little bit of an issue. There's quite a bit of crap between the 2 pieces of the tank where they were pinch welded from the factory, and I think they might be a little thin. It's starting to blow through. I might have trouble with those sealing as well. So we'll just have to keep going here. It's probably going to be a whole long process of tacking and welding and just keep going. So anyhow guys, I'm not going to bore you with the welding. I'm not a real great TIG welder, but I can get the job done. Okay guys, so we're back. I've got the entire bottom welded in. I've just gone over it now with a fine-tooth comb, looking for what I think are little pinholes. I've circled them all with felt pen. A few of them are pretty obvious. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go over the welds with the TIG welder and seal up all of these suspected leaks. Once I've got that all done, I'm going to plug up all the openings in it. going to fill it about 3/4 full of water and put a little bit of pressure into it. So the reason for the water is less air volume, less chance of the tank exploding. So once I get into that, I'll show you how that's going. Okay guys, I got all the welds checked. I've got the tank filled about 2/3 of the way full with water, and I put a Schrader valve in the drain plug and put about 3 psi in it. So we're going to spray it with soapy water. And see if we got any leaks. We'll see if we got bubbles. I'm hoping, oh, there's one. And there's two. And there's 3. And there's 4. And 5. Just going to check the filler neck here. See, it's looking good. So what I'm going to do now is go over it with a felt pen, mark where all my leaks are, and then I'll go back over it with the TIG welder. If I can find a felt pen. They seem to disappear on me pretty good, so. Okay. Let me see here. Okay, so I'll just get these all circled and we can go from there. So I'll bring you back here once I get fixing these things up. Okay guys, so after the first go around, I fixed those 7 leaks. I've got one more right in the corner here, and it should be good. I'm just going to clean it up a bit and go over it with the grinder just a touch, and then I'll check it one more time for leaks. Okay guys, I had 9 little leaks, which I don't think is too bad considering there is roughly 7 feet of welds plus the spot welds and a solder. 9 feet, because we got around the fill spout as well, and this is 92, 93-year-old steel. So I'm just going to leave it sit here with pressure in it now for a bit. Then I'm going to clean the whole thing up, and I'll probably just put a little bit of primer on it. I'm not sure what color the owner wants to paint it here. So anyhow, I'll be back once I got her finished. Hey guys, so I got the tank all done here. I decided not to prime it. The owner is going to pick it up, and he may send it off to be dipped and then have it coated. So my next project is going to be another vintage car piece. This is a bumperette off a 35 Packard, and this is the other one. So I have to make this one look like this one, so that'll be the next video I'm going to do, showing how I'm going to make that piece. So anyhow guys, thanks for tuning in and checking out my channel. So thanks for subscribing, and we'll catch you on the next one.